when we looked at vegetables, and you've spoken about that now, but what are the other, kind of food groups? If we look at dairy and we look at meat, for example, are there similar increases happening in those two sectors? Have they been affected by the drought?
Well, dairy has been very badly affected by the drought. And unfortunately, the smaller dairy farmers are really getting squeezed. And for the last 2 years, they've averaged about 4.60 a litre, so say 9 rands a litre for 2 litres of milk. And yet in the supermarket, the bigger guys like Clover are allowed to set their own prices, and they're maybe charging like 29 rands or 28 rands for milk. But the smaller guys, the little ones who are competing with the house brands, which is incidentally Clover just in a different packet, are maybe only getting 22 rands. The supermarket is charging 22 rands, but they're only getting 9 rands.
Yeah.
And so a lot of them are going to go out of business, and we're going to lose our dairy farmers if we don't do something about it.
Have we already seen that?
We have indeed. If you take the Free State, there were something like 900 farmers in the Free State in 2007, and now there are only about 300. So, and that's jobs that are lost, that's prize dairy herds that are lost, it's expertise in the industry that's lost, and meanwhile we're importing cheap milk from Poland, which isn't that cheap anymore. But we took advantage of it because Russia decided not to buy from the EU because they were having a fight with the EU. But now, then that forces all the little dairy guys out, and then when you go back and you say to them, well, where are you going to get that imported milk from? Oh no, sorry, we can't sell it to you anymore because we're selling it to Russia.
Gosh. So there's a whole geopolitical element to this as well.
Thing in food, yes, and fresh food, and it's unfortunately, and we as consumers unfortunately contribute to it, because when we go to a supermarket, we look for the perfect cauliflower head or the perfect bag of beans where we just have to cut off the ends and all the rest of it. And unfortunately, that means that there's a huge amount of waste, because if you get a cauliflower that's a little bit off center or something like that, it gets tossed out. And so that increases the price of the food.
So there's a large degree of the yield that just ends up being wasted.
Well, I don't know whether it's wasted, but it might go, if you're looking for fresh food, it might go into tinned food or canned food or something like that. But some of it is certainly wasted in EU countries. I don't know whether it's wasted here.
Yeah.
Yes, but...
in terms of dairy, I know you did a story for Fin24 and it got a lot of feedback from our readers. What were their concerns, or what about the story really kind of touched a nerve with them? Was it the price? Was it the way that you looked at the manufacturing of dairy products?
I think the problem is that the small producers are being squeezed, and the bigger producers like Clover are allowed to set their own price with the supermarket. And the reason why they're allowed to do that is that they also sell the house brands to the supermarkets. So the supermarket chains say to them, you can set your own price. We don't care if you charge 30 rands for 2 litres of milk. But then we want a deeper discount on our house brand, so that then we can improve our profit on the house brand. And then therefore they are also squeezing the smaller guys, so that they don't want to, they want the smaller guy to pay only so much as the house brand, but they are getting a really big discount on that.
A nice cut.
Yes, a nice cut. And that's what the dairy farmers are complaining about, with justification.
Does that happen with other goods as well, where these large supermarkets can almost bully the small manufacturers or the small-time growers because they just have so much buying power and they know that people are going to go to their branches, their stores, so they can
push their price.
Yeah, they push their price.
I think meat prices in some areas is a very good example. Meat prices are just about steady, or they're going up at the moment, and at a very high price. I don't know if you last had some lamb chops, but they're really going expensive. But the fact is that there's a glut of meat, and the abattoirs cannot take the meat because they can't sell it at a good price. And the reason why there's a glut of meat, obviously, is because of the drought and things like that. So really what we should be seeing is meat prices
Coming down.
But
Yes.
do we? No.
Sadly
no, we don't.
not.
Sadly not. No.
So where does that leave us as consumers? What do we do? Because, you know, that kind of is reason to be really angry with supermarkets.
Well, I think that there are three things you can do. One is you can check the comparisons between the different stores and make sure that you're always up to date with who is being the cheapest at the moment.
Okay.
And that's not just on the specials. You've got to look at the whole range of goods that you buy, because if a special is very, very cheap, then you can be pretty certain that something else that you buy, the price has suddenly gone up.
Yes.
In fact, we're finding that in some instances, supermarkets between now and last month have put up some prices by 50% or more,
Gosh.
which is really not fair.
What
They're
are
just
those
taking
items?
advantage of the consumer. Well, there's a Pick n Pay in Benmore that's selling dog treats for 9 rands a dog treat, which is more than you should rather be giving your dog a bar one or something
Yeah,
like that.
that price.
And Cambridge Stores is charging a ridiculous, it's charging 424 rands now for 50 kilograms of lion maize meal. And last month they were charging 268 rands. So that price has gone up by more than 50%. But if you look at the 5 kilogram bag of maize meal, you'll find that that's only gone up by 20%. So they're obviously, that people are so afraid, they think, oh, well, I'll buy
in bulk.
I'll buy in bulk, yes, but
Yes.
buying in bulk is definitely not the only answer.